So, in the beginning of December 2022, I was attending an internet sales meeting at a dealership. I consult with them as I have for years, and one of their vendors came back after spending about $7,000 and they said, "Hey, we know you didn't need those service leads, and the AI spent the $7,000 in the wrong direction. We're really sorry." I don't know if they ever got their money back, um, but isn't that interesting that something like that could happen? You know, you have AI, you build it out to be this incredible machine learning, efficiency gaining, thought provoking tool. And suddenly it's putting your money in the wrong direction. And your service department at the dealership is full. And now you have aged units sitting on the lot, well over 90 days. Could that $7,000 have gone in a better direction? I think so. So it's scenarios like that which have given rise to a video like this. This is Car Dealership Tips, how to get more profitable high ticket sales in a short amount of time. I know this is something that eats away at every internet sales manager, general sales manager, general manager, and owner. As we head into 2023, the automotive industry is feeling a great sense of inertia in some sense. That's a resistance to change because of all the market forces and different strategies and stuff going on. So what I've done is I've compiled these tips and they break down into 4 sections, and then I'll tell you what's next with a bonus at the end. Those sections are the mindset, the tools, the strategy, and the setup. So I'll do my best to outline those or use the automatic outline feature that YouTube has built in. Let's crack straight into it. Let me know how you feel in the comments below, and go ahead and drop a thumbs up if something does help you out. Don't drop a thumbs up if I don't help you, because that doesn't do any justice to anything. Let's do our best here and hold me accountable to that. So what kind of video would this be about sales if I didn't have a mindset portion? We're going to be quick about it though. Here we go. Mindset. I break it down into these 7 things mainly. First, embrace the growth mindset, okay? You're focusing on personal and professional growth and being open to learning and improving, because if you look around you, that's not everybody. Look out in front of your dealership. They're on their phones. They're hitting the vape. They have no gusto about this, okay? The main difference is you see this as a career where they see it as a job, okay? And that will set you up nicely to build strong relationships. Developing trust and rapport with clients is obviously something that can lead you to being a 20 car salesperson a month just on being great at your job or great at your career. When you're building relationships, a lot of car salespeople tend to think, only somebody who's a lot up, or I get from the business development center, or in some other manner through the dealership, is somebody worth talking to. But the fact of the matter is you can get involved in other places in the community. There are places with community gardens. There are places with, other ways to give back. Giving back is a great way to connect with like-minded people. Do you think someone who is going to a community garden, for instance, is struggling with a credit score? See, it's a certain kind of person, and you want to attract that kind of person if you're selling high ticket. High ticket buyers don't have a 600 credit score. They don't even have a 700. You're looking at the 750 plus credit score range, and I'm not talking about Credit Karma. Next, developing product knowledge. This is a obvious one, but it's little heated. Think of it, the Ford F-150 Raptor, okay? It's not often that you see a customer like that walk into the dealership who doesn't know more than the car salesperson. If you can flip that around, your sales will go way up because they'll actually feel confident in you. Because when you demonstrate knowledge of the product that they don't have, as somebody who has gone online and spent maybe 8 to 30 hours searching, you demonstrate that you've spent way over 30 hours on this. So that can help you be confident as well as them have confidence in you. And then that makes active listening much easier, because if you're active listening, really what that means is you're paying attention to the needs, wants, and concerns and responding accordingly. You know, if you're not responding to what they're talking about, you're responding to what you think they want to hear. And driving the sales conversation into what you think they want to hear is a great way to get them to stop listening to you. So back to the F-150 Raptor example, you know, if they're talking about axle ratios and you're standing there like, I don't know what an axle ratio is, how do you think that makes them feel? They're about to spend well over 100K MSRP. How would you feel if you went to purchase a home and the inspector came by, gave you a full rundown of what needs to be taken care of, and you asked for one minor detail, and all they did was like, oh, the plumber will have to review that? You know, yes, the plumber is the expert, but can you at least give me something? Can you give me a little detail as to what effect this might have on my budget? You know, I need to replace my water heater. I'm asking you how much that is, and you have no idea, and you've been a home inspector for how long? The first thing I'm going to do is go hire a new home inspector. Okay, that's probably a ridiculous example that would never happen, but you see the point. Okay, so this all also requires you to stay organized. There are great tools out there that many dealerships provide because they are automotive groups. And so these automotive groups invest heavily into those sorts of assets. You as a salesperson are not restricted to those assets. For example, you can run a whole operation off of Facebook. Facebook allows you to go into your messenger center, for example, and when somebody says something around buying language for a specific vehicle, you can mark that lead as important. You know, create your follow-up list for the next day, for the next week. Go and start actually using the native tools in one platform and get really good at it, because then the throughput of your data each day can go up. In other words, the processes that you use to sell will be more efficient. And above all, maintain a positive attitude even on the days where things break down. My favorite saying, perhaps, is breakdowns lead to breakthroughs. Okay? If you think about it, you have to break down your old version, not own, to get to the new one. So you've done that this far. Why would you give up on something that has been working for you so well? So that covers the mindset section of this. Let's jump into the tools next. If you didn't already hit the like button at the mindset section of this video, I believe this one will really do it for you. This is about the 4 tools that at your level of selling, when you're at the $70,000, $80,000, $100,000 plus range of vehicle, these are the 4 tools you're going to spend the most time, or least if they're efficient, or if they serve their purpose quicker. Let's go ahead and, if you want a hint, actually, you can try and squint at this tab up here in the top of my Chrome browser, but I'll get to it quickly. Customer relationship management. I've seen buy here, pay here's where this consists of basically a Google sheet, if that. Maybe they just track the leads coming in through emails, for example. If this works for you, there's no reason to change. Do what works for you. However, I would say you could seriously consider adding things to increase your contact rate. These things are features of CRMs. What are the features of CRMs you should be looking out for? You should be looking out to text, call, email, any activity to keep the conversation going should be in one spot. For example, as I alluded to earlier, let's say you're gathering Facebook leads. Instead of diversifying your attention, you could call it, and sending that Facebook lead to a Google Sheet and managing two separate things, you could manage one thing. You could mark the lead as in progress within Facebook. And then when you contact them, you can mark it as contacted all the way until it's reached an appointment. Okay. And even when it comes to tracking appointments, you could say on the day of, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Customer, just checking in about the appointment we had set for today. I'm looking at sending you the link for the Zoom call in about an hour. Does that still work for you? See, it's just a modern way of doing what they've been doing since the 90s. And this goes into sales and marketing automation quite nicely. Not everything needs to be automated. You know, I could go on about the story when automating ad spend cost the dealership $30,000 on service leads. Sorry, $7,000 on service leads over 30 days. But you probably understand this on an intuitive level too. Sales and marketing automation can be as simple as when the lead comes into Facebook, a text automatically goes out. How many tools are there to accomplish this? There are so many. What matters is how well you are able to respond to your system that you create, your process. So presentation and demonstration impact everything the customer sees. And for that tool, I would recommend QuickPage. Okay, so I'm a little biased. I know the CEO through LinkedIn, and I think he's a great guy. You know, people buy from people they know, like, and trust, and well, I know, like, and trust him. So, to break into it, let's go over this. It's the quickest, most effective video messaging tool in sales. I'd argue his competition is TikTok. What benefits does this have over TikTok? If we go over here to the How It Works page, you can see, just as on TikTok, you press record, we do the rest. So you can quickly record from your phone or desktop. I'd recommend using your phone because your customers, when they receive this, 90% of the time, that's where they'll be opening it. So if you build it on there, it kind of helps set it up properly. So you can build out an entire slider of content, including the personal video, a screen share, images, documents, and PDFs. You can start imagining why this is useful for car sales. For instance, let's say a vehicle display page that you know your customer has visited on multiple occasions now becomes a quick page. What you're doing is putting a face to the dealership, putting a face to the salesperson, but also, more importantly, you're building rapport before they even show up. You can do a 2-minute walk around video of a vehicle, including the information that a vehicle display page might have, and a little more. You know, what is the natural next question after they like what they see on that vehicle display page? They could lock in their sales price. They could attempt to calculate their monthly payment. There's a number of things, and you can go ahead and nurture them into that process using a quick page such as this. So back to it. Throughout all of this, you're going to be receiving data, and data is only good if you have awareness of it and you can act on it. These CRMs, sales and marketing automation, the presentation demonstration, and the data analytics is all coming together in what's known as a CDP. That's in an all-inclusive tool to basically put the customer journey in one spot. But what you can do is actually simplify the process by paying less for a few tools and getting really good at them. Because a CDP has to convey a value that is only there when you use the entire CDP. How many times have you purchased a software and you only use a portion of the software? Just in accounting software, I can think of a few. Okay, so those are the tools. Get Quick Page, and quick bonus tip, get Microsoft Clarity. If you're going to be identifying how users are on your website and you want the presentation of the website to be impactful, it's probably useful to understand, what are they ignoring on the website? What would a heat map of your website show? What would you do if you came to discover on a Microsoft Clarity report that the scroll depth of your average user is so poor, like 38-40% of a page, such that they're missing your call to action? You'd probably move your call to action up the page so more people are introduced to that opportunity sooner. In marketing terms, it would reduce the amount of bounces you have. It bounces when someone comes to the page and does nothing. Okay, so that wraps up the tools section. Let's get on to strategy. The strategy for how to get more profitable high-ticket sales is probably not surprising, because it's pretty much these 6 points. Traffic become leads, leads become contacts, contacts become appointments set become appointments shown, and appointments shown become sales. Now, the reason I'm highlighting this specific path is because I need you to consider back to the mindset discussion we had earlier, and I'll just open it again so you can get a quick reminder. You're embracing the growth mindset here. See, traffic has changed year after year practically. The speed at which we change our method for acquiring traffic changes so quickly, and here's what I mean by that. Back in 2017, I could go on Facebook, I could go to them and say, I want a college-age student in this zip code. You know, I could give them a whole list of demographics, okay? And today, I can't go to Facebook and say anything like that. I can go and get 18 to 65 plus. You know, the demographic options have been necessarily put behind a wall due to civil lawsuits. We'll get into that another time. So here, when I say traffic, what I'm talking about is the intentional awareness of somebody participating in e-commerce at your store. Okay. Facebook traffic, back to that point, you're interrupting somebody. Okay. On Google, they went out and searched 2022 Ford F-150 Raptor. They were searching for it. Their intention was there. How do you think your leads are going to convert in terms of becoming contacts and appointments set if your business development center, or you as a salesperson, take the traffic from Facebook and Google and treat them similarly? You're going to have a great time contacting and setting appointments here if you are on the Google side of things and your business development center is trained to respond to people with high intent. But you're going to bomb over here because none of your scripts have anything to do with nurturing or getting somebody to just the incremental next best step. Okay, so this brings up my point of developing product knowledge again and building relationships. And it works off the concept of a bridge too far. You know, it's a bridge too far to get somebody into the dealership right away if they don't know what they want. And affluent buyers, you know, you'd be surprised. There are some who they could look at the Raptor one moment and then the next they could be like, but this GT500, this Shelby GT500 looks great. And then they, you know, okay, so there's a lot of distance there. There's a lot of distance between the e-commerce side and even getting them to set an appointment just to talk to you on the phone, not even coming into the dealership. So you build an asset with that frame in mind. And again, it should make them confident. So if you want to shorten the bridge that the person has to cross, I have one here on my desk. Just give me a second. Okay. This is a buyer's guide. I'm not going to show you the front because it has some information on it. This is a buyer's guide, okay, that we built for a dealership. It's about 12 pages, okay? And what that does is show that you've practiced active listening with prior clients and taken that and created this valuable asset to anybody who may be a lead off of Facebook. Okay, the contact rate of somebody who's willing to view and digest all 12 pages is way higher than somebody who you just show an ad to and then get a name, phone number, and email. Okay, so there's nuance to this path here, this traffic to lead to contact to appointment set, show, and sale. And that nuance is tricky sometimes. So again, remember to maintain a positive attitude through all this. You're going to have some setup, and that's what we're going to get into next. Let's go ahead and jump into clarifying what it looks like to set all this up. Okay, so the setup breaks down into these 6 modules. First, you're going to evaluate the process, of course. And in this case, we're talking the marketing and sales process in terms of your e-commerce dealership. Okay, then research and select the appropriate tools, plan the implementation, train your employees, then implement and integrate the tools, and then monitor and evaluate results. So when it comes to evaluating your current process, you do this. You define your key performance indicator, okay? So in this scenario, let's say you want to do a database reactivation campaign. Let's say you have 50,000 emails that you've collected over the lifetime of your dealership. You want to define the first KPI that's holding you back, and after you define it, don't overthink it, attack it until it's fixed. For example, let's say your open rate is 4%, and to meet your standards or exceed expectations, you'd like to have an open rate of 20%, 30%, 40%. Let that be the only KPI you focus on until you fix it, or at least delegate it in that manner. Okay, so after delegating it, you'll have them collect and analyze the data. Okay, which emails with which headlines get what opening rates. Okay, and that's it. Don't go into the body of the email, just keep it very straight line, because the next thing you want to understand is why did those headlines have such high open rates? And when you really internalize that and have that sheet in front of you and say, okay, we sent, let's say, an email a day, 365 days a year to 50,000 people for the past year. That's a lot of emails. Okay. What are the top 10? What are your top 10 performing emails? If you don't know that, then don't proceed. So then you conduct customer and employee surveys. following up with the email headline example. If you want to understand how your customer is thinking about your email headlines, you could run those headlines as part of an organic Facebook campaign. That is, have these headlines act as the opener for your next social media post. See what kind of click-through rate you get on that. Okay. Employee surveys. Write those 10 headlines down on the whiteboard on your Friday morning meeting and have your team discuss what that does for them in terms of messaging, how they may feel that fits the market. This will also help them meet their goal of, back to mindset, building the rapport with the customer by building relationships. If they're familiar with how your customers are perceiving these headlines as like worthy of opening, wouldn't it make sense that is also a conversation they're interested in having? So now when your sales team picks up the phone, you know the topics that they're interested in discussing from the headlines that you tested on Facebook and in your email. It's cohesive like that. Next, review marketing and sales reports. When you're reviewing your marketing and sales reports, and I know you're an expert at this, so I'm not going to spend much time on this, but I would just say when you're reviewing these sales reports after implementing a change, make sure you've isolated attribution to one variable. In other words, back to the open rate. If you end up implementing the setup here and you say, okay, we're going to use these headlines and more like them, but you also change the body copy, you're now tracking two variables. So which one was it? Was it the headline that was the cause for the increase, or was it the body copy of the email that changed the outcome? Okay. That would be the main thing there with market and sales reports. Next, when you're conducting competitive analysis, keep in mind that you may be competing with a buy here, pay here while you're an automotive group. Okay, so part of what built your competitors' IT, data awareness, all of those primary functions of their core business, part of what built that was a limitation, and part of it was, their own training. So it may be worth having someone outside of your organization conduct that competitive analysis, and that leads to the last point of evaluating your current process, which is seeking expert advice. There are business experts out there who all they do is analyze the data of how it flows through your business, and that's it. If you want to see a quick growth in your high-end sales, what you should really seek to do is, if you're not an expert, you should get one to say, hey, your data's getting stuck at this point. For example, let's say he goes into your Google Analytics for your dealership website, and he goes through the behavior pathing. And through that behavior pathing, he discovers that there's this loop where people are clicking through your VDP and then suddenly clicking back. It's like, why are they suddenly clicking back? And every time they click back, they have like these frustration clicks. This is important data. It's user experience. And what the expert will tell you is what's going on is you have a damn, chat pop-up. You have a pop-up for a coupon on your website for like $500 off. And every time they're going to a vehicle display page, this coupon and this chat are popping up over and over and over again. Just think of it. What would you do in that scenario? Like, you're going to get frustrated at some point. Okay. Or think of it in this way. Let's say it's a mother of 4 kids. Dad's not home. She's on her desktop in her home office, and she hears a scream. A shelf just fell on one of her children's head, but those children are brats, so she doesn't know if it's fighting or whatever. She has to go check. She just X's out of your website. That's the other side of what's going on here that you have to really consider, is like when they X out of your site and you retarget them and she comes back through a Facebook ad and you're again serving up the chat options, the coupon options that she has already denied, you're just slowing her down. Therefore, the data is slowing down in entirety. Okay? Anyway, I could go on and on about that. Next, we're going to go on to research and selecting appropriate tools. I've given you 2, and I firmly believe you should follow up here with QuickPage.io and Microsoft Clarity. Go do the investigation. Next, plan and implementation process. Now, this seems rather elementary, but I saw a company grow from 12 employees all the way up to over 100 and then back down to about 12 in a matter of 2-3 years. And one thing they did that cost them everything is they tried to stick true to the work style that they had in the beginning, and they were resistant to change. And so it caused them to grow because they just had such that amount of funding, and also caused, weaknesses in their structure and eventually fall back. So defining objectives, gathering the data, which you've done earlier when you evaluated the process, formulating the plan, a simple plan, and sticking to it until it gets done is better than having a complex set of plans with unless you're a multi-million-dollar organization and you have the resource. And then you assign the roles and responsibilities, set a timeline, communicate the plan, and then monitor the progress. This is the iterative process that everybody should be following. And it's easy to say, but it falls apart somewhere. And if you're not strict about this, then you're not going to see quick growth. Period. Next, you're going to train your employees before you implement anything. Define their goals and expectations, provide the industry and product training for obvious reasons, teach the effective sales techniques, which is not the same stuff you used just even a decade ago, and then provide ongoing coaching and feedback. And finally, when you implement the tools, use your A players first. Let's say you love the QuickPage. Don't just roll it out to your whole sales team. Have your A player in terms of, being video friendly, in terms of selling cars. Have them try it out first. Work with them on a close basis, and then define what that ideal situation looks like, because you're going to use that to coach everybody else, and it's a much more effective way than just rushing into things. Okay. And of course, monitor and evaluate the results. And what I should really type here is don't lose sight of the goal. What often happens is these events take place over weeks or even months. And if you don't document your goal and your strategy, the implementation process can become like just a wire of everybody's different thoughts, and people change their minds, and you should be open to changing your mind, but don't lose sight of the goal. Okay, so that's the setup. I hope this video has been helpful to you so far. If it has, drop a like, drop a subscribe. I have plenty more coming, and I'll wrap up this video with your special bonus. All right, so with regards to car dealerships and how to get more of those high ticket sales, I know over the past half an hour, however long this ended up being, I gave you a lot to consider, and maybe you're having some thoughts about what to do next. Great news, I've set you up for success with this special bonus. You get a free breakthrough session. Just comment pedal to metal. either one really, and you'll get 15 minutes, maybe more, to scratch that itch to put the pedal to the metal in your marketing and advertising and your sales. And, you know, in other words, we'll fix a bottleneck and follow up on ideas you had during the video here. And it's got limited spots weekly because I'm one guy. And, you know, I love talking, as you can tell. So go ahead, book your spot today, and I'll see you soon. Again, here on Dealer Sales Buddy. If you want another free resource, hit up dealersalesbuddy.com. I have something over there too. You can download it. See you on the other side. Take care. Have a great day.